Good morning, my Real News Media TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning for November 27, 2023, Army probing whether clothing used in Lindsay robbery were real JDF uniforms. The Jamaica Defense Force says it is aware of a video showing persons wearing what resembles its uniforms while committing a robbery in Lindsay, St. Catherine on Saturday, and is taking the matter very seriously. The JDF says it is conducting the necessary checks to verify whether the uniforms used in the incident are in fact the property of the force. We will provide all possible assistance to the Jamaica Constabulary Force in the effort to bring the perpetrators to justice, it says in a statement released to the media on Sunday. The JDF is urging anyone with information about the incident to call its tip line at 876-837-8888. You do not have to give your name or any personal details to make a report. The JDF reaffirms its commitment to maintaining law and order and safeguarding all our citizens, it said. Investigators attached to the St. Catherine North Police are searching for the 4 men involved in the robbery at a pharmacy. It is reported that around 3 p.m., 2 men dressed as cops and 2 others dressed as members of the JDF entered the pharmacy and then proceeded to rob it. The men took an undetermined sum of money. They escaped in a waiting car. CPFSA takes action following incident between 11-year-old and the cops. The Child Protection and Family Services Agency has intervened in what it calls a stressing incident involving an 11-year-old boy who was caught up in an altercation with uniformed police personnel after a traffic stop involving his father last Friday. The incident was captured on now viral video. In a statement last evening, the CPFSA said that on notification from a police station in St. Mary about the incident, one of the agency's officers promptly responded to ensure the well-being of the child and his younger sister who were present during the altercation. The agency said that the CPFSA officer conducted interviews with the child, his father, and the police, and provided immediate on-the-spot counseling to both the children. Additionally, the CPFSA has scheduled follow-up counseling sessions through its Children and Family Support Unit to further support the children in the upcoming week, the agency said. Recognizing the traumatic nature of such events, the agency also referred the father to the Victim Services Division for counseling and provided guidance by sharing the contact information for the Office of the Children's Advocate. In the video clip, it appears that one of the policemen pepper sprays the boy, then pins him to the ground using his knee and fist as the child cries out for water. The clip, which showed approximately 5 policemen on the scene, provided no indication as to what triggered the incident. Yesterday, the news quoted Hamish Campbell, Assistant Commissioner of the Independent Commission of Investigations, responding to the incident and saying, "The video, though I don't know what preceded the clip, shows a disturbing level of aggression and use of pepper spray on a juvenile." Loretta Adams Thomas, Chief Executive Officer of CPFSA, stated yesterday that the agency's commitment to safeguarding and nurturing every child in need of care and protection remains unwavering. We commend our team for their swift intervention, offering counseling and essential support to the children and their father during this challenging time, she said. Expressing concern about the incident, Adams Thomas further emphasized the necessity for nonviolent resolutions, particularly in interactions involving children. Children can become bewildered and reactive in high-tension situations. The use of extreme force in such instances is counterproductive. In this case, the child was scared of losing his only caregiver and reacted out of fear for his father's safety. We urge the police and all members of law enforcement to discern when it is appropriate to utilize de-escalation techniques, which would have been appropriate in this instance, she said. Highlighting the importance of understanding the child's perspective, Adams Thomas added, the police must distinguish between a frightened young primary school student responding to a potentially traumatic situation and deliberate acts of misconduct. When dealing with children in situations like these, it is crucial to redirect their emotions and provide reassurance rather than resorting to force. Adams Thomas further stated that the CPFSA remains committed to working collaboratively with law enforcement and other stakeholders to ensure the well-being and the protection of children in Jamaica. She also sought to remind and to encourage persons to report any form of child abuse using 211 or 24-hour child abuse reporting hotline. Child abuse reports may also be made through WhatsApp or text at 876-878-2882, email report@childprotection.gov.jm, or visit any CPFSA parish office or our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at CPFSAJM. Baptist minister condemns the persistent violence against the women and the children. Baptist minister Reverend Glenroy Layler has condemned the persistently high incidence of violence against the women and the children in Jamaica, and he's calling for urgent action to be taken to stamp this out. Reverend Layler, president of the Jamaica Baptist Union and the pastor of Bethel Baptist Church in St. Andrew, addressed the issue during a special service on Sunday. He cited his own recent encounters with victims of this practice and the difficulties entailed in responding to their needs, reporting that we had to use some unorthodox methods with the support and help of the hospital and the police in order to find a place for them for the night. Such difficulties, he said, illustrate that despite all that we have and all that we are doing, we are still neglecting an important part of it.
The United Nations in the report last year says 86% of the women who suffer abuse are living in countries, and this is the way they put it, they are living in countries without any robust protection, no system to protect them from violence. So they are almost helpless and hopeless at the hands of the powerful ones and feeling abandoned, isolated, as if there's no one to do anything to help them. And we can talk about international statistics, and we can talk about international figures and international situations. But what about Jamaica's best kept secret? Well-known and best-kept secret, where in many of our communities, powerful men prey on helpless young girls with the full knowledge of so many others. But there is a feeling of helplessness, can't do anything. So someone can send for somebody's daughter, and everybody sits by helplessly, as if there's nothing to do. And we, despite all of our advancement and all of our wonderful talk about progress and development and roads and buildings, we have known this for decades. But yet, it seems as if we can do nothing to eliminate this. What does that say to us about a country and progress and development when people, vulnerable people, helpless people are left to be victims at the hands of those predators, those, let me not use any word that's inappropriate for a place like this, persons with whom God will not be pleased. You know, there is that feeling of helplessness, and it's an uncomfortable subject. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it is an uncomfortable subject, but it is a reality that has been in the shadows way too long, that we need to give attention to. Had the experience on 2 occasions, not so long ago, trying to find temporary accommodation for 2 young women on different occasions in need of rescue from an abusive relationship. And it is a difficult thing to do and to come by in our land. We had to end up using some unorthodox methods with the support and help of the hospital people and the police in order to find a place for them for the night. It says that despite all that we have and all that we are doing, we are still neglecting an important part of it. So lots of persons, lots of us can identify with this feeling of isolation, this feeling of abandonment.
Wholeness bemoaned loss of life in Israel-Gaza conflict, calls for 2-state settlement of long-standing dispute. Prime Minister Andrew Holness on Sunday expressed a grave concern at the rising death toll in the current war between Israel and the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip, and has urged that a peaceful solution be urgently reached. The Prime Minister, speaking at the annual conference of his governing Jamaica Labour Party, Mr. Holness affirmed his government's support for a two-state solution as the only viable outcome of the long-running conflict between the Israelis and the Palestinians.
Jamaica is consistent in its support for the universal respect and adherence to the principles of international law and respect for territorial integrity and the sovereignty of all nations. We condemn all forms of terrorism, and we support the right of nations to defend themselves and pursue their security while preserving the rights of innocent civilians to live in peace and dignity. We are deeply concerned at the rising human cost in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and we welcome the current pause in hostilities. We urge all parties to seek a permanent solution, and we remain convinced that this can only be achieved by a negotiated two-state solution enabling the Palestinians and Israelis to live securely in peace and dignity.